All right, welcome back, folks. Let's dive into the trenches, and we'll also fit inside linebacker into this segment. Along the offensive line, I think the Bills will roster 9, maybe 10 if they really love some of their depth. And as things currently stand, they have Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance and Austin Corbett, Alec Anderson, that's 6. Tylen Grable is 7. Lloyd Cushenberry, 8. Cedric Van Pran Granger, 9. Chase Lunt, 10. Nick Broker, 11. Travis Clayton, 12. I look at this offensive tackle situation and feel like there is absolutely room for a rookie to be rostered. I like the idea of Tylen Grable as the OT3. He's got a lot to prove still as he enters his 3rd season in the NFL. And after that, it's Chase Lunt and Travis Clayton. Now, Chase Lunt had really good college tape. He's an attractive player to me, but he does have very concerning wingspan and arm length. And Travis Clayton has a ton of tools, but he's trying to transition from rugby to football. And we don't really know where he's at. Maybe he's going to be awesome. Maybe he's a guy that's not going to come together, but we have a lot to learn there. Point being is that you need some offensive tackle depth. Now, when it comes to the interior piece, I don't know how many of these guys they can truly roster when you consider you'll have 3 starters, McGovern and Torrance, we know. Then you'll have the loser of the left guard battle between Anderson and Corbett. You also have Lloyd Cushenberry and Cedric Van Pran Granger. Are they going to roster all 3 of those? The challenge would be that there's not a lot of versatility where Lloyd Cushenberry's only played center. Maybe Cedric Van Pran Granger can play some guard, but he's really a guy that's only played center. And there's not really appeal for any of them to play tackle. Now, I guess Alec Anderson got the Bills through a game at right tackle last year against Pittsburgh, but that was really rough, and they had to give him a ton of help. I don't think he's a natural tackle in the NFL. Austin Corbett was a college left tackle, and maybe it's a similar situation where he could get you through a game, but ultimately there's not a ton of versatility. And so I do wonder about that interior piece a little bit. But ultimately, I think there's absolutely room for 1 and maybe 2 if you really like how things play out in camp and preseason. So you got some room here to roster rookies along the offensive line and more cost control, especially when you consider the pending free agency of Osiris Torrance. Both of your primary options at left guard are expiring contracts. There's some room here. Let's go to the interior defensive line. I think the Bills will roster 6 or 7 of these. Right now, Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, Dwayne Carter, Fedarian Mathis, Zion Logue, and Tommy Akingbasote. This is borderline unserious to me. The Bills' 3rd best interior defensive lineman is TJ Sanders. And then it's Landon Jackson and Dwayne Carter. I'm hopeful, my fingers are crossed, but what do we even know about those players? Except for they've all had injured reserve stints. Jackson and Carter, significant injured reserve stints. Sanders bounced around a couple of different spots, had a couple of good moments, but was also drafted for a different scheme. He's going to have to learn to play in wider alignments. That's your 3rd best interior defensive lineman. Am I going crazy right now? This is not a serious group. This is not a contending team's interior defensive line group. And so I think there's an easy path to roster 1 and maybe 3 interior defensive linemen. Now, that's aggressive to say 3, but 1 or 2? Are you concerned about bumping Dwayne Carter or Fedarian Mathis? I don't know about this group. This is my biggest concern, is this group right here. Your 3rd best player on the interior defensive line is TJ Sanders. Okay. easy path to rostering 1, maybe 2, and maybe even 3. When it comes to the edge rusher position, the on-the-ball outside linebacker, I think the Bills will keep 5, maybe 4, but probably 5. Greg Rousseau, Bradley Chubb, Michael Hoyt, again, remember, coming off of an Achilles, Javon Solomon, Andre Jones. That's what they have right now. Very, very easy path to rostering 1. Obviously, you'll add some undrafted free agents here to give yourself some more numbers here and some practice squad potential. But not only do you have the need to diversify this group with some more versatility and some different types of skill sets. I mean, you want some burst and bend. You like to have some guys that can be some hybrid players that can play some 5-tech and on the ball outside linebacker. Absolutely a path to rostering 1 here when it comes to edge rusher. Then you have inside linebacker, where it's Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, Joe Andreessen, Keontae Jenkins, and Jimmy Charlo. Those are the 5 you have under contract. I think the Bills will keep 4. And this is a big shift from where the numbers came under McDermott, where the Bills under McDermott would typically roster 6, but you're going to play 2 now under this new defensive structure. And so it changes things a little bit. I think there's a very clear path to rostering 1 because right now your 4th one is Keontae Jenkins. And when you think about the players ahead of Jenkins, I think there's big questions. Terrell Bernard has to be healthy and transition to a new scheme without the coaches that really loved him, right? Like McDermott, Babich loved Bernard. I think he has a lot to prove under this new situation. Dorian Williams, I'm very intrigued, but has not really been a full-time starter. And then Joe Andreessen, who's more of a depth player that has his own limitations. So not only do you have a clear path to rostering 1, you have a clear path to one of them maybe being an every snap player. So another massive need for the Bills and certainly room to roster at least 1 inside linebacker.
Browns tight end David Njoku appears to be moving on from Cleveland. The veteran took to Instagram Monday night to say goodbye to Browns fans after spending 9 years with the organization. Njoku was selected in the first round of the 2017 NFL Draft by Cleveland. Throughout his tenure, the tight end showed flashes of strong production, though his relationship with the team wasn't always so smooth. Njoku previously requested a trade before later walking back those comments. During his 9 seasons with the Browns, Njoku recorded 384 receptions for 4,062 yards and 34 touchdowns. Njoku took to Instagram and shared an emotional message to fans as he announced his departure. This is what he said. Cleveland, first off, I love you. These 9 years have been a beautiful journey. I'm also so grateful for the memories we shared together. Thank you to the Haslams, Andrew Berry, and the whole Browns organization for everything. All my teammates shared the battle with. I'm so grateful for you guys. The time for me to find a new home has come, and all I can think of is just the gratefulness in my heart. The city of Cleveland will forever be home. Well, meanwhile, the Browns are entering a new era on the sidelines with head coach Todd Monken. Monken is known for his offensive approach and has emphasized the need for the Browns to increase their scoring production moving forward. In the studio, Ashley Holder, 19 News.
What if the Buffalo Bills don't need to make another flashy move at wide receiver to scare the league? What if the next truly dangerous move is adding a tight end who could make Josh Allen's life easier, uglier for defenses, and way more explosive in the middle of the field? Aha, Bills Mafia. That is why the David Njoku conversation is sneaky fascinating right now, because this is not some trade fantasy. This is not some impossible cap gymnastics story. David Njoku is actually available. Reuters reported back in February that Njoku announced he would not return to the Browns and would enter free agency after 9 seasons in Cleveland. ESPN and NFL.com still had him listed among notable available free agents in April, with both outlets describing him as a physically gifted seam-stretching tight end, even if injuries have made teams cautious. Now, let's get honest right away, Bills Mafia. Buffalo is not desperate at tight end. The official roster already shows Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and Kaleki Latu in the room, and Bills.com said Buffalo ranked second in the league in reception yards and touchdowns from the tight end position before re-signing Knox through 2028. So this is not a save the offense move. Yeah, this is a how do we make an already dangerous offense even harder to solve move, because David Njoku at his best brings something that still matters a lot in modern football: size, athleticism, red zone mismatch ability, and enough juice down the seam to force safeties and linebackers into bad decisions. ESPN's free agent rankings still called him a seam stretcher who can create isolation matchups in the low red zone, and NFL.com described him as athletic enough to still be a real asset. And that is where the Josh Allen fit gets fun. Josh is already the kind of quarterback who can punish defenses everywhere, outside the numbers, off script, in the red zone, down the field, wherever. DJ Moore is officially on the roster now and gives Buffalo another legit receiving weapon on the perimeter. Add Njoku to that picture, and suddenly the middle of the field gets terrifying. Oh man, imagine 12 personnel with Kincaid and Njoku, or even 3 tight end looks where the defense has to guess whether Buffalo is about to run downhill or spread everybody out and let Josh cook. Njoku would not need to come in and be the only answer. That is the beauty of the idea. He would be joining a room that already has Kincaid's movement ability and Knox's chemistry with the offense. Njoku would be the stress point, the guy you isolate on a linebacker, the guy you flex into space, the guy you throw to when the coverage gets muddy and you just need a freak athlete to go win. So how could Buffalo actually do it? This is where the idea becomes realistic, because there is no trade compensation involved. The solution is not finding a partner. The solution is deciding whether the Bills want to spend on another tight end when they already extended Knox and still have Kincaid under team control. And that's the real debate. ESPN noted that Njoku missed 11 games over the last 2 seasons and that his efficiency dipped, so any contract would have to reflect that risk. This is not the kind of player you throw a huge long-term bag at in Buffalo's situation. This is a 1-year prove-it type of conversation, maybe a 2-year structure at most, probably incentive-heavy, something that protects the team if the injuries keep being a problem and rewards the player if he bounces back catching passes from Josh Allen. That is the smart path. And from a football perspective, I actually think the fit is stronger than some fans might expect, because Buffalo doesn't need more random bodies. Buffalo needs matchup problems. Kincaid is one kind of problem, and Njoku is another. DJ Moore stresses defenses differently. Khalil Shakir brings reliability. Joshua Palmer and Keon Coleman give you more options outside. That is how offenses get dangerous in layers. And when you are trying to maximize Josh Allen's prime, layers matter. This would not be about replacing Knox or giving up on Kincaid. It would be about creating a room so versatile that defenses have to play honest every snap. Heavy looks, spread looks, red zone packages, seam shots, crossers, boots, scramble drill chaos, and Njoku can live in all of that. So my take is simple, Bills Mafia. Yes, the Bills could bring David Njoku in, and if they did, it would not be because they're weak at tight end. It would be because Joe Brady and Josh Allen could turn another athletic tight end into a weapon defenses hate dealing with. The only real obstacles are role, money, and how much Buffalo wants to invest in a position that is already one of the strongest on the roster. But if the price is right, this offense could get even nastier. So tell me now, would you add David Njoku to this Bills offense and let Josh Allen attack defenses with Kincaid, Knox, DJ Moore, and Njoku all at once? Or do you think the room is already loaded enough? Drop your take in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep riding. Because if Buffalo ever makes a move like this, the whole league is gonna notice.